Hello and welcome to my channel Health and Wellness with Emma Mental. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing my content. Please subscribe if you haven't done so, and please let me know in the comments what your experience has been when I discuss a particular topic, or if you have any other comments or questions. Today I want to just talk a little bit more about fasting as a tool, or reasons to perhaps consider introducing fasts, but in the context of the fears that people have. A lot of people have some really negative beliefs around fasting because they think of it as something that is restrictive, that feels limiting, and something that they associate with deprivation, which I totally get. So one of the benefits I find about introducing fasting as a tool for most people is that one can break through those barriers. One can start to challenge those limiting beliefs that you've had around your weight, around going without food, and also to perhaps really focus and prioritize on your well-being and that well-being journey. One of the most common questions I get about fasting is, what's going to happen if I get hungry? Or won't I get so extremely hungry? Like, how do you manage? People cannot believe that I can go without food for so long if I do one of my long fasts. And most of my fasting course participants cannot quite grasp the idea of going 24 hours without food, or more than 12 hours, let alone 48 hours. And I think this is where the science of fasting and preparing your body for the longer fasts is so important to understand and to acknowledge. So hunger is a very interesting thing. The first comment I want to make is that if you continuously find yourself feeling hungry shortly after meals, it might be because you are predominantly focusing on carbohydrate-rich foods as your fuel source. So if you're somebody who eats oats for breakfast, or toast, bread, or a cereal, and then soon after that you feel hungry, or you eat a sandwich for lunch, or you had a bowl of pasta for lunch, or you had a biscuit, and then you feel hungry again, your hunger can be explained from the point of view that you are probably insulin resistant, and that carbohydrate is not sustaining you. So it's probably spiking your blood glucose, and we will know that if you start testing your blood sugar. You can watch some of my other posts. It'll probably spike your blood sugar, cause a high release of insulin. It'll drop your blood sugar again, and now you're hungry. So this continuous roller coaster of feeling hungry, eating carb or sugar, blood sugar spike, lots of insulin, blood sugar drop, hunger again. One of the benefits of changing your fuel source and of introducing fasting is that you will change these hunger patterns, because the hunger patterns are very often associated with stubborn weight gain, weight that won't come off, lots of inflammation. So they don't always go hand in hand, but I do think that is something to look out for. So if you are somebody who's gained a lot of weight, who cannot seem to lose the weight, and you feel continuously hungry, we might need to look at reducing your carb and sugar intake, and then making you eat more protein, more quality food, less processed food, perhaps increasing your healthy fat intake so that we can regulate your blood glucose better. Obviously, we want to understand this in the context of your fasting insulin, and that's a little other technical conversation that I've had in some of my videos. But if you're asking me, what about hunger? Once you've started changing your diet, once you've started eliminating all those carbohydrate-rich foods, which I usually list in my traffic light system, the red list foods, so all the sugars, all the cereals, all the gluten, all the pasta, potatoes, the inflammatory oils, if you've eliminated those and you've started teaching your body that you can actually feel less hungry, not because you're eating less, but you're just eating a diet where the ratio of carbohydrate to protein and fat is less, your hunger will slowly but surely start to change. And your body might now be able to finally lean into burning fat as fuel, especially when you're going to go without food for 12 hours or longer. So what happens is that if you have excess fat, and especially if you have stubborn excess fat that you can't seem to shift, you've got to change the fuel source. If you continue to eat carbohydrates, then your body's going to rely on the sugar all the time. When you start to limit the carbohydrates and then in between maybe prolong the window of fasting, maybe 16:8, maybe 18:6, and then eventually to a 24-hour, your body's going to realize, like our ancestors, that there's a whole other fuel source, especially after 36 hours. So the pitfalls around hunger can very easily be addressed. First of all, by preparing for your fast, making sure that you're not somebody who's going to go from eating pasta and bread and biscuits and cereal and then the next day try and fast. That's not going to work for you. So preparing yourself for 2 weeks, and then before a longer fast, making sure that the night before, perhaps you would have a meal that has adequate protein and good bowl of vegetables and enough fat, so butter or ghee or coconut oil or olive oil. That way you're waking up in the morning with energy levels that are much better. And if you start to learn to track your blood glucose levels, you will see that they're usually still fine. And if not, we will just take a little bit longer with you. My worst hunger comes in at around 24 hours when my body now realizes that food is not coming in. So that for me is almost like my biggest hurdle to overcome. That's the most resistance I feel in a longer fast, is around 24 hours, where your body now has noticed, gosh, okay, food is not coming. The plate of food is not arriving. And imagine our ancestors would have had that, they might have not found anything to eat. And if I make sure my water intake is adequate and that I add my minerals as exactly as what I discussed in some of my long fast videos, and especially if I add it in the morning, my inulin to my coffee, maybe a little bit of MCT, maybe a bit of a bullet coffee with a bit of butter, like Dave Asprey mentions, then that 24-hour hunger burst is not that bad. It's there. I know it's going to come, and I just deal with it. I have the water. I have make sure that I sometimes have some apple cider vinegar and water, either hot water or cold water. And I know that by 36 hours, my body is going to switch over, well, probably sooner than that, but definitely by 36 hours, I'm going to be burning fat, because my body is going to want to make sure that I have an alternative fuel source. And when you go into this ketosis, that takes care of the hunger. The good news is that the hunger doesn't persist and it doesn't get worse. So that first little bout of hunger, or now and again those waves of hunger during fasting, doesn't persist. It's not like it starts at a 3 out of 10 and then 4 out of 10 and then 10 out of 10. They're just little waves in between the body, adapting and adjusting. So that is, hunger is one of those big question marks for people. You know, I'm going to get hungry and I'm going to struggle. The other resistance that I often see, and the question or almost the fear around fasting, is people say, I'm going to go away, I've got a big celebration, I will start, you know, with this way of eating after this holiday. And perhaps that is where we're always putting things off, because fasting can become part of a normal lifestyle. And avoiding the inflammatory foods, or the foods that are going to keep you stuck and that are going to keep you in that overweight state, is going to keep you in that insulin resistant state, are exactly the foods that you need to start avoiding. And by making a commitment to your own health, but you're feeling full because you're eating enough protein, you're getting diversity of vegetables, you're getting enough fat, and you're actually starting to feel better, you realize that you can go away and maybe make different choices. You don't have to fast in between celebrations or holidays. You can start to incorporate fasting and clean eating and healthy eating as part of this new lifestyle that you want to adopt. Because if you want to make long-term changes to your weight, to your health, if you really have a big reason why you want to lose weight, or why you want to address inflammation or chronic health issues, then giving up the foods that have kept you stuck and unwell for so long should not feel like a sacrifice. In fact, for me, when I started to reframe all of that around deprivation and restriction, and rather looking at it as I am staying away from the foods that are keeping me inflamed, that are keeping me unwell. So that's something to consider, is that what we are giving up is actually helping us move forward towards better health. So it's not a sacrifice, it's rather just different choices. And then people ask me, what are the other benefits of fasting? So of course, some people think of it as only a weight loss tool. It helps to reduce insulin resistance. So I need to talk more about insulin resistance, but I've made a few videos. So if you scroll through my library, you'll see about insulin resistance and why it is such a priority. It is such a top priority that is so often overlooked. So for me, that will be number one benefit, reducing insulin resistance, because when we're addressing insulin resistance, a whole lot of other things are going to fall into place. With that, so alongside addressing insulin resistance or reducing the insulin resistance, we're going to also reduce inflammation, because we're going to be avoiding the foods that will continue to drive inflammation. And inflammation doesn't mean that you've got a sore knee or a sore shoulder. It might be a silent inflammation, inflammation in the heart, inflammation of the brain. So even chronic headaches might be a sign that you are somebody with some kind of inflammation. Fasting supports cellular repair. And that for me is one of the top considerations that we can impact on cellular level. So not just the fat stores, not just the muscles, not just the heart and the brain, but actually each and every single cell. So after 17 to 18 hours, we go into that cellular repair. So if we start to weigh up these benefits against the fears that we have or the resistance that we have, definitely can help to motivate us. It really helps with preventing cognitive decline, and we see so much of that. So if you are somebody who's fearful of developing Alzheimer's or dementia, or you have somebody in your family who has got dementia or impaired cognitive health, then introducing fasting changing your diet and removing those inflammatory foods will definitely help you to start implementing preventative strategies. The energy manufacturing components, the mitochondria in each cell, really benefit with fasting. So that is part of that cellular repair process, but it's almost like an additional benefit. So all the more reason. Anti-aging benefits. If we're repairing the cells, then of course over time we're going to improve the impact of aging on our skin, on our tissues, on our brain, on our heart. And then really helping with the weight loss, especially the stubborn weight loss that doesn't want to respond to anything else. So that is part of addressing the insulin resistance and the inflammation. And if we then want to weigh up, am I more scared of hunger or am I more scared of the inflammation and this continuous process of weight gain that I can't seem to get under control? I would choose fasting any day. And also, if you really have a big reason why, whether it's a health reason, whether it's more of an aesthetic reason, whether it's a self-image reason, if your why is big enough, why you want to improve your health, not just with another fad, not just with another quick fix, but then we can really confront that hunger. We can when that hunger shows up, we can say, hang on, I'm actually on this journey of improving my health, of losing weight, of addressing my insulin resistance, of improving my blood sugar balance. And then we can almost start to really negotiate with that inner voice that wants to make us doubt ourselves. It's not just about willpower, but it is about choice. I hope this was really helpful. Please let me know. And I will continue to share my journey with fasting, my whys. My next course is starting next week on the 20th of March. There will be some of my contact details in the description of this video. Or have a look on my social media and you will find the sign up details. Have a beautiful day wherever you are.